I bet you didn't know how packed this week has been with significant events. Stay tuned as we dive into everything that happened over the past 7 days. The first week of President Trump's second term has been nothing short of tumultuous, filled with a whirlwind of activity and significant changes. A wave of executive orders, high-profile firings, and sweeping policy shifts have marked the beginning of this new chapter. Controversial nominations and legislative proposals have left Washington reeling and the political landscape more polarized than ever. From immigration to climate change, the administration is pushing forward with its agenda at a breakneck pace. From social programs to military deployments, no area of policy seems untouched by the president's sweeping changes. The Trump administration is making its presence felt both domestically and internationally, signaling a new era of American politics. This flurry of activity signals a stark departure from the previous administration and sets the stage for a potentially turbulent 4 years, filled with both challenges and opportunities. The speed and scope of these changes have left many scrambling to keep up, as the nation adjusts to this new reality. Critics decry what they see as a dangerous power grab, warning of potential overreach and authoritarian tendencies. Meanwhile, supporters applaud the president's decisive action, viewing it as a necessary step to fulfill campaign promises and restore order. One thing is certain: America, and indeed the world, is watching closely as the Trump era resumes in full force, with every move under intense scrutiny. The ramifications of these early moves remain to be seen, but they offer a clear glimpse into the president's priorities and his approach to governing. As the nation braces for what lies ahead, the impact of these decisions will undoubtedly shape the future of the United States and its role on the global stage.
And now let's turn it over to our presenter Jean for more in-depth analysis.
President Trump wasted no time in putting his stamp on domestic policy. Within days of taking office, he began signing a series of executive orders that would shape the nation's direction. A barrage of executive orders has targeted key areas, often reversing course from the previous administration. These orders have touched on everything from immigration to climate policy, signaling a dramatic shift. Immigration has taken center stage, with new restrictions on asylum seekers, making it harder for those fleeing persecution to find refuge in the United States. A halt to refugee programs, which has left many in limbo and sparked international criticism. And a renewed push to limit birthright citizenship, a move that has been met with both support and fierce opposition. The president has also moved swiftly on climate and energy, withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Agreement, halting climate change initiatives that were put in place to reduce carbon emissions, and greenlighting expanded oil drilling in Alaska, which has raised environmental concerns among activists and scientists. Social issues have not been spared. The administration's stance has led to widespread protests and debates. An executive order recognizing only male and female sexes effectively rolls back protections for transgender individuals, sparking outrage from LGBTQ+ advocacy groups. Diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are being dismantled across federal agencies, a move that critics argue undermines efforts to create a more inclusive workplace. With employees working on DEI programs facing dismissal, leading to concerns about job security and morale within the federal workforce. The federal workforce is also undergoing a shakeup, with an executive order making it easier to fire federal employees, a controversial move that has been both praised for increasing accountability and criticized for potentially leading to unjust dismissals. A push for full-time office return, a hiring freeze that has left many positions unfilled, and the potential dismissal of probationary employees, which has created an atmosphere of uncertainty. These sweeping changes are already facing legal challenges, setting the stage for a protracted battle over the limits of presidential power. The outcome of these legal battles will have lasting implications for the future of executive authority in the United States. In a move that has sparked outrage from Democrats and raised concerns among some Republicans, President Trump has fired at least 12 inspectors general. These independent watchdogs play a crucial role in ensuring accountability and transparency within federal agencies. The firings, executed without the legally required 30-day notice to Congress, have fueled accusations of a cover-up and a disregard for the rule of law. Senator Chuck Grassley, a longtime advocate for government oversight, has demanded an explanation from the White House, while Democrats have decried the firings as a direct assault on democratic norms. The dismissals come amid heightened scrutiny of the Trump administration and raise serious questions about potential corruption and abuse of power. The lack of transparency surrounding the firings has only deepened the sense of unease in Washington. President Trump's cabinet is beginning to take shape, with several key confirmations this week. Kristi Noem, the former governor of South Dakota, was confirmed as Homeland Security Secretary by a vote of 59 to 34. Noem, a staunch Trump ally known for her hardline stance on immigration, is expected to play a key role in implementing the administration's controversial immigration policies. In a more contentious confirmation process, Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News commentator and Army veteran, was sworn in as Defense Secretary after a 50-50 Senate vote, with Vice President Mike Pence casting the tie-breaking vote. Hegseth, who has faced criticism for his lack of foreign policy experience and his inflammatory rhetoric, has outlined his priorities as reviving the warrior ethos, strengthening the industrial base, and re-establishing deterrence against China. The narrow confirmation vote underscores the deep partisan divisions in Washington. Section 5. Rallying the base Trump's Vegas spectacle. Continuing his penchant for campaign-style rallies, President Trump addressed a crowd of enthusiastic supporters in Las Vegas this week. In a speech that echoed the themes of his 2020 campaign, the president touted his accomplishments, railed against his political opponents, and promised to make America great again, again. Notably absent from his remarks were any concrete policy proposals or plans for addressing the nation's challenges. The rally, attended by a who's who of Trump loyalists, including pardoned Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes, served as a reminder of the president's enduring appeal among his base. Despite facing numerous controversies and investigations, Trump remains a potent force in American politics, capable of mobilizing his supporters with his populist message and his attacks on the deep state and the media. Section 6. America First, Aid for Few Foreign Policy Shift. President Trump has signaled a major shift in U.S. foreign policy, announcing a 90-day halt to global foreign aid. This unprecedented move has sent shockwaves through the international community, raising questions about the future of U.S. involvement in global humanitarian efforts. The move, part of a broader America First agenda, will affect programs addressing hunger, disease, and wartime suffering, including HIV treatment in Africa. These programs have been lifelines for millions, providing essential services in some of the world's most vulnerable regions. The administration argues that the aid freeze is necessary to reassess U.S. foreign assistance programs and ensure that American taxpayer dollars are being used effectively. They claim this pause will allow for a thorough review and reallocation of resources to better serve American interests. However, the decision has drawn sharp criticism from humanitarian organizations and some lawmakers who argue that it will have devastating consequences for vulnerable populations around the world. Critics warn that the halt could exacerbate crises and lead to increased suffering and instability. The aid freeze includes some notable exceptions. Certain strategic interests have been safeguarded despite the broader halt. Weapons support for Israel and Egypt along with emergency food assistance will continue. These exceptions highlight the administration's focus on maintaining key alliances and addressing immediate humanitarian needs. The decision to prioritize military aid over humanitarian assistance has fueled accusations that the administration is pursuing a narrow, transactional approach to foreign policy. Critics argue that this strategy undermines America's moral leadership and long-standing commitment to global humanitarian efforts. Section 7. Global Impact, Minefields, and Military Deportations. The Trump administration's foreign policy moves extend beyond aid cuts. In a controversial decision, the State Department has halted global mine-clearing programs. This move, part of the foreign aid reassessment, has raised concerns about the safety of civilians and U.S. troops in conflict zones. Landmines and other explosive remnants of war pose a significant threat, particularly to children, and clearing them is a complex and dangerous task. In another development, 2 U.S. military jets were used to deport migrants to Guatemala this week. This marks the start of using the U.S. Air Force for deportation flights under a new executive order. The administration argues that utilizing military aircraft is a necessary step to address what they call a crisis at the border. Critics, however, denounce the move as a dangerous escalation that further militarizes immigration enforcement. Section 8, Power Plays and Senate Standoffs, Nominations and Votes. The battle for control of the federal government continues to play out in the Senate, with several key nominations and votes this week. Scott Bessent, President Trump's nominee for Treasury Secretary, cleared a key procedural hurdle, with senators voting 67-23 to proceed to a final confirmation vote. Bessent, a hedge fund manager with close ties to the president, is expected to be confirmed despite concerns about potential conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, Laura Xiao has been appointed as acting director of national intelligence, replacing Stacey Dixon, who was ousted after facing criticism from Trump allies for her role in the previous administration's diversity initiatives. Xiao, a little-known figure within the intelligence community, is seen as a loyalist who will toe the president's line. The appointment has raised concerns about politicization of the intelligence community. Section 9, A Nation Divided, The Road Ahead. The first week of President Trump's second term has been a whirlwind of activity, leaving many Americans wondering what the next 4 years hold. The president's aggressive agenda, his disregard for norms and institutions, and his divisive rhetoric have deepened the partisan divide and fueled a sense of uncertainty about the future of the country. The road ahead is likely to be turbulent, with major battles looming over immigration, climate change, healthcare, and the role of government. The Trump administration's actions have energized both his supporters and his opponents, setting the stage for a period of intense political conflict. As the nation grapples with these challenges, the question remains: can America find a way to bridge its divisions and move forward together? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. Have a nice weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.